Okay, we're going to do a quick review of mathematical models. And the first thing we're going to do is I've got a graph of a position time graph. And you'll see that over here we've got our time and our position, our data. We're using your PV Learners or your Gmail account to find the slope and the y-intercept. And I've got the graph. Okay, so we've imported the graph onto our document. Now, if you were turning this in a lab, you would have to remember to draw the best fit line on this graph. This is one thing Google doesn't do. So now using our data, let's go ahead and find the mathematical model for this. Since our data is already a straight line, we can go right to our mathematical model. So the position is the variable on the y-axis, centimeters is the unit on the y-axis. Time is the variable on the x-axis, seconds is the unit on the x-axis. So we're going to take our equation for a line and modify it specifically for this experiment. Now, the letter that we usually use to represent position is x. So where the y goes, I'm going to put the symbol for position, which happens to be x. Equals, and then we've got our slope. Remember, the slope has a number and a unit. So I'm going to take 7.30, and the unit for the slope is the unit that's on the y-axis, and the unit on the y-axis is centimeters, divided by the unit on the x-axis, which happens to be seconds. So I've taken care of my slope, which has a number and a unit. Then I have to multiply that by the variable on the x-axis, which is time. So we're going to call that t, like so. Plus, we have our y-intercept, and my y-intercept has a value of 7.875, but since we like three significant figures, we'll just round it to 7.88. Now that needs a unit as well, and it's simply the unit that's on the y-axis. So I'm going to put centimeters right there. So what you need to remember here, so let's go ahead and write this out. The variable on the y-axis is what gets substituted in there. So that's simply a letter. The unit on the slope, let me write this out. So the unit on m, the unit on the slope of the line, is going to simply be the unit on the y-axis divided by the unit on the x-axis. And then last but not least, the unit on the y-intercept is going to be whatever the unit is on the y-axis. So now remember, the whole point of these is that now if I wanted to, I could come in here and I could ask you what would be the object's position at 3.75 seconds. All you would need to do is put in the 3.75 where t goes, and you could multiply that by times the 7.3, add it to 7.88, and you could find your position. There you go.